Hello and welcome to another Office Hours. Capsule. That's right, Capsule. This is a small segment of my Office Hours live stream. I'm never stopping that, by the way. It's just going to always happen. It's become a thing now. That reminded me, I have to turn off some other things. This is a small section of my Office Hours live stream that we do on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, or Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Yeah. And someone asked before, well, what do you do? What do you stream UK time? 1 a.m. This starts at 1 a.m. your time. I apologize. But we talk about Star Citizen news, lore. We go through the latest. We go through ISCs, the monthly reports, a bunch of different stuff. So last time it did really well. We're going to do these kind of watching. So we're going to be watching the ISC from February 22nd, 2024. That's 124, right? Yeah. My brain is all over the place. Where we're talking about master modes and the changes to flight and fighting in Star Citizen coming in 3.23. So let's watch. Oh, and before we do, make sure you like the video, subscribe for more content, and hit the bell icon to be notified when these release if you enjoy these. And of course, let me know in the comments below if you like this stuff. Let's go.
While Star Citizen aims to offer a first-person universe of possibilities, at the center of it has always been you and your spaceship. And over the years of development, testing, feedback, and iteration, there have been many changes to the combat and traversal experience. And in the upcoming Alpha 3.23, the biggest and most anticipated of those makes their presence known with the arrival of master modes. And with that comes additional changes to precision targeting, weapon balance, gimbal use, and more.
What are master modes?
So master modes is a way for us to really kind of capitalize on what the ships are.
Basically, master modes are a new game feature that change all the combat experience inside the game.
So you'll have a mode for fighting in and a mode for flying from place to place then.
A rework of the flight and combat system to essentially try and solve a lot of the problems that players have had with the flight experience.
You can decide if you want to be in full combat mode, or you're just in transit, or you want to get out of a situation as quick as possible.
Check fire.
Master mode is the thing that makes ship combat exciting and making sure that the ships that you have in the game perform in the roles that we have envisioned for them.
All right, I'm going to back up a little bit because I saw something that I want to kind of point out.
In transit, or you want to get out of a situation as quick as possible.
Check fire.
Right there. Those are lead pip markers. I've already watched this once, and I noticed that there's no lead pip. There's finally some pips, and I've actually played master modes. You can play it right now, by the way, in Arena Commander. I don't know if it's still available as of this patch, this latest patch. It just got released, but I do think it is. So that is very interesting because I didn't see it in there before. So
Master mode is the
you can kind of see it more right here as it kind of goes away. So
thing that makes ship combat exciting and making sure that the ships that you have in the game perform in the roles that we have envisioned for them.
Since CitizenCon, we've been bringing master modes into Arena Commander.
Progress has been quite good, showing off the new modes and letting people get their hands on it.
Collecting the feedback, seeing how players respond to that online by monitoring how players react on social channels. We've been testing internally a lot.
It's a very limited selection of ships, but even so, people seem to like it. So we've taken that feedback and carried on making progress and adapting it all to the rest of the ships as well.
We've been watching how players play the game, monitoring analytics, putting it all together and sharing it with the devs who need to see it.
How the hell do you go about converting 200 ships to vehicles?
Unfortunately, there's only really one way to do it, and that's to not get too intimidated by the number. A team effort. We're just cracking through it, really.
The difficult part, of course, especially as a designer, is try to understand the new game dynamics that the game system creates, especially in an environment like the PU, and then try to being able to deliver the proper game experience for every ship with a different tuning. And that's quite difficult, but that's also what is really interesting about bringing up a new feature.
So we're moving each individual ship into an archetype, and we're going to rebalance that ship to the archetype as a starting point. And then basically, once that's complete, we're going to add the individuality into each ship.
Called it. For those of you who've been watching me, I said that's exactly how they were going to do it back in January. And it was pretty obvious. I mean, anyone who'd been following this sort of thing is kind of saw that coming when they started adding the different variations. But yeah, so for those who don't get it, that means that any ship that is a medium fighter is going to fly like the Hornet. Any ship that's a heavy fighter is going to fly like the Vanguard. Any ship that's a light fighter is going to fly like the Gladius. They'll just fly exactly the same. They'll have the same kind of like stats attached to them, and then they'll change them as they go and kind of tune them to kind of really make them work. So like the Vanguard and the Cutlass will probably fly the exact same as the Freelancer. Oh wow, the Freelancer miss is going to be beefy. If it's going to, that's a heck of an agility increase. For now, as chat's pointing out, it will definitely change, but you got to remember that change takes time for CIG, 6 to 9 months. So this is something we're going to be seeing probably until 4.0, and likely after that too. So
Each ship has been given a full refresh, and we've looked at every ship in the game, assigned them a base archetype so that you know what you're getting into from the get-go.
All ships, based on how big they are and what kind of purpose they serve, will get an archetype assigned to them. A typical archetype is a snub fighter. Very, very small, very agile, but it cannot dish out a lot of damage, and it can also not receive a lot of damage before it pops. Light fighter. Very maneuverable, decent weapon loadout, and it's basically there for agility engagements. Medium fighter. Pretty agile for its size, but it has a lot more offensive firepower.
Target destroyed.
Heavy fighter. They don't maneuver well, but when you happen to be at the front of them, you can die very, very fast. Now, these are basic tuning archetypes that we have for our fighter ships class, and all ships in that size will be assigned to one of these things. However, based on the ship and what the purpose of the ship is, we have variations of that. For example, we have the interceptor variant of these tunings. This is a tuning variation that can apply to any of these archetypes. An interceptor tuning for a ship means that this ship exchanges the agility. With agility, we mean the rotation rate and the lateral strafing accelerations simply for speed. So they will not be able to turn their velocity vector much, they will not be able to rotate much, but they will be very, very fast just going forward. Racing ships are like the base archetype that almost all racers ended up with so far are interceptors, because racers prefer speed over everything else. But you want to pick the right racer for the right track. The other end of the range are our, let's call them fighter bomber tunings.
Hey, Gladiator.
We trade agility for simply durability. On top of the fighters, we just keep going with this. We have gunboats for ships that are constellation-sized. We have corvettes for something like a hammerhead, right? So our hammerhead is, for us, is our anti-fighter corvette. Frigates are basically the biggest ship that players can control in the universe right now. So we're talking Idris, we're talking 890 jumped. I know that players cannot control the Idris, but we're talking ships like the Carrack. Those are frigates, really, really big ones, but also they will have variations in their tuning based on the brand and what the purpose of the ship is. So these are—
That doesn't mean that the Carrack is a frigate, by the way. It means that it's the same like category as a frigate. It's an exploration ship. So, but yeah. Yeah, I like that idea. So I'm guessing we're gonna get about like 10 to 20 variations on those things. So like for instance, for the Buccaneer, he mentions that an interceptor, it's considered a medium interceptor. So it has the same stats as a Hornet, but faster. So
these are very big changes that are coming, but the main takeaway is that these archetypes are just reference frames for the type of tuning you want to give a ship. It does not mean that every ship that you have in the verse will fit a specific archetype. There are ships which are in between. For example, the Saber. Is it a medium or
Stealth
a light
medium.
fighter? It's somewhere in between. The Cutlass has not the durability of a heavy fighter, has, however, the turret of a heavy fighter, so it's somewhere in between. So there are ships which do not fit exactly into these frames. But this is the beauty of it, because these ships, we can make them fit anywhere where they want. We just need to make sure that the balance between them is right. Not everything fits in a box, and it would be very boring if it did.
based.
Precision targeting is a new way of aiming at specific parts of a ship. You get this zoomed-in picture of your target, and it allows you to paint over specific components of the ship. So if you want to take out the thrusters, you simply aim towards the thrusters, and your gimbals will make sure the bullet lands exactly where you
Oh,
want.
this is what I was afraid of.
Rework of the entire target system with the goal to make it not only fit master modes, but also fit the problems we've had with target in the past, which is the control of the weapons and the accuracy.
Since master modes is bringing everything closer together and master modes is slowing everything down, we need to make sure that the weapon speeds are adjusted as well.
It will reduce your fire rate, it will therefore decrease the spread and allow you to be more precise where you hit. Good examples for that is if you want to fire at a ship from very far away and you want to make sure that your shots hit. An even better example is if you have a light fighter and you want to help take down a larger ship. You will not be able to take down the ship by yourself, but you can help other players by crippling the turrets with ballistic cannons, for example, and other subsystems. So that allows you to see better what you're currently targeting.
What we're doing is we're bringing all weapons into 3 archetypes. We have the anti-fighter weapons that have higher fire rate and a higher velocity that allows you to hit targets such as a horde of gladiuses. And then we have the anti-material weapons. Anti-material weapons is the one you bring out when you and your friends want to hunt a hammerhead. It's got the highest damage of all the weapons. You want to deal as much damage as possible, but the target is big and it moves slow, so you don't have to worry as much about actually hitting the target. And then we have unspecialized weapons, which are in between the anti-fighters and the anti-materials.
So this is better because it gives you a lot of options on how you want to attack the target. You can just, spray and pray that your shots are going to hit, or you can go into the precision targeting mode, see all the sub-targets that you have available, and then pick out which of these sub-targets you
So someone was asking, what am I afraid of? This is what I was afraid of. One of the things that I was hoping for was that the zoom mode and that the targeting mode were 2 separate things. I was hoping for that was the case, but I was afraid that it was going to be the same idea because of the way they were talking about it. And yeah, there is no targeting mode. It is all zoom in targeting, which means that you're losing entire perspective. You're losing awareness for finer control over weapons, but it means you're going to be tunnel vision, which, and as a result of this, and they'll say it later, but it means that we're getting auto aim. So, yeah.
actually want to attack. Next to basically seeing what you're actually hitting, you also just get the stunning view of that big ship that you're targeting, right? Like it's a full screen, zoomed in view on your target. You can see it in all its glory. You can see all the parts you can shoot off. I think it's great.
We've been really happy with the results so far. We've seen a massive difference in the way combat works and what the players are actually doing within combat. And that's been really good to see. There's still some small things we're working on right now to kind of solve, but we're really happy, we're kind of most of the way there at the moment.
The next big thing that the new aiming system has is the removal of the so-called N-1 system. That means that when you have a gimbal attached to a ship, the weapon attached to the gimbal goes down 1 size. At this point, in time, after like lots of testing, we're pretty confident that we don't want the system anymore. So in the future, if you have a size 3 gimbal on your ship, it will carry a size 3 weapon. But we're actually going further with this, because from 3.23 onwards, you will not be able to mount fixed guns on your ship anymore. In addition to that, all the turrets, however, will get gimbals. So this is a requirement because of precision aiming mode, because the precision aiming mode we also want to be able to use on turrets, and we need a way to make the bullets fly where we want them to fly without cheating. So this means all turrets, they will get gimbals on their guns so they can properly lead. But to still keep turrets more powerful in terms of their weapon employing capabilities, and also because turrets cannot just, jump on the way out of the way, the auto gimbal mode will be something that's exclusively available to turrets. So pilots will still be able to manually gimbal their weapons with, either tying it to the controls or by looking around. But only turrets will be able to use the auto gimbal system, because turrets are supposed to be very, very dangerous. And so players just have the choice how to apply the damage the best. However, because auto gimbaling is also in an assisted mode, it will come with a reduction in fire rate, just to keep things fair.
Thank you, Yogi. Okay, I was going to pause it here for a moment. So I want to clarify some stuff there, because I think it's important to really understand this. What he's saying, and I could be wrong here, please let me know in the comments, is that there is no more fixed weapons. And there may be an option for fixed weapons, but why would you intentionally handicap yourself? Because the way that aiming and combat works now is the ship will auto tune its shots towards a target. So when you're doing precision aiming mode, you'll notice that the character or the player was looking at the target they were shooting at, but the gun was firing in an arc above where that target was. It wasn't firing straight at it because it was automatically leading the target with that precision aiming mode, being so that effectively you're giving up rate of fire for more precision, but you're getting more effect. So there's no more gimbals. Basically, if you're not using gimbals, you're handicapping yourself intentionally without any reason to. Gimbals are how you're going to be able to track targets, and there's no more kind of ups and downs. But the exception is that turrets get auto aim, which makes sense. In my opinion, that's a great idea, because turrets need to be absolutely broken. They need to be the overpowered thing to get players to use them more, which kind of makes sense. And it's just saying, Vanguard pilots, there's no fixed weapons. Those things are going to have gimbals now, baby. And for those of you who are wondering, because the chat's even talking about this is just the time to kill is going to just absolutely sink after this. They're not. They haven't. I've actually played this Master Bros, and I would highly suggest people play it. What it is right now. In my opinion, survival rate has shot through the roof. It takes a while to kill somebody now. You can really mess up a ship, but it's like pulling apart a ship rather than killing a ship. You're ripping an engine off and then you're slowly whittling down. It's that kind of stuff. It's a very drawn out slug match rather than being a quick, incisive kill. So. And I'm being told that the single weapon fighters with size 7 are still fixed, chat. We'll see. We'll see. So chat's telling me that the Vanguard knows are exceptions. So I'd have to find that out, but I wouldn't be surprised if they added a little bit of gimbal to them at some point. And I'll get into the chat, because chat's kind of confused and panicking right now, but we'll get into that. So
the feedback, it has been going pretty well.
We've been really happy with working with the community who's been playing this to kind of fine-tune it and make the changes needed, and we have made a lot of changes based upon these feedback.
Most of the feedback that we've been getting has been pretty positive around squadron battle, where there's some pretty good group combat dynamics players are reporting positively on. There's some really cool gameplay emerging, such as how players evade now is quite different. You have to drop chaff, break your target lock, break away, find your opportunity to break away from your pursuing ship.
What we can see at the moment is that players are very happy with squadron battles. Players are not very happy with the 1v1, so this is more an area where we have to improve.
Of course, there are some very detailed feedbacks about some tuning choices, how we should make some type of archetypes better rather than not. But in general, it's going to be mostly appreciated.
The players are really enjoying the different roles that we've got. The interceptors are quite successful. There's been some pretty good feedback around the Buccaneer. We've probably still got a little bit of work to do around the Lightfire class and 1v1s, but other than that, it's been pretty good.
It means you can stay closer. You are much more in control of staying in a closer formation with other people that you're playing with. When we do our regular playtests, we can actually fly in our own version of a formation, and we can track targets without being several kilometers off each other.
That's your version of a formation.
Our version of a formation is generally, if we can see each other still and we're not accidentally shooting each other, I'd consider that a good formation.
I'm not sure that's the textbook definition of formation. I can see you and not crash into you. That's not a formation, Josh.
It's a win if at least two of the four of us manage to make it away in one piece without any friendly fire incidents.
How
The
Vandal
thing that excites me the most about Master Modes is if you just watch the footage of players dogfighting at the minute, you can really see how close all of those ships are, and it just feels so much more cinematic.
It's really about the foundation of the whole flight experience moving forward, because I fully understand that this isn't a game just about combat. We want to communicate that players who want to do combat, they'll go into the Master Mode for combat. But if you want to go from A to B, you've now got a mode where you can do that without being harassed as much. So that's going to be a big plus for the game.
It's leveling the playing field a little bit more now. As we slowly breathe more life into each one of these ships, you're going to know this ship like the back of your hand.
People seem to like how much more frantic and intimate all the fights are in the Arena Commander testing that we've done so far. And I'm looking forward to hearing people's thoughts once we've rolled it out across all the ships.
Not everything that isn't 323 you can see already in the Master Mode, AC mode. It's there's a lot more stuff coming, especially to weapon treatment, how we use capacitors, etc. But overall, based on the feedback that we got so far and also from increasing player numbers, we're pretty confident that we're on the right track. So Master Modes and the gunnery system and the whole combat experience is a huge undertaking for us, and we cannot do it without you. So we want you to play it. We need your feedback. Be honest, tell us what you don't like. Please also tell us what you like, so we can make all this space combat game great together.
So what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that with Master Modes comes a rebalancing of ship performance into dedicated archetypes. That these archetypes are simply where tunings start and will be grown from to ensure that each ship and vehicle provides a unique experience going forward. And that precision targeting, weapon gimbal, and balance changes all combine with Master Modes to provide a more involved, visceral combat experience for pilots when they arrive in the upcoming Alpha 323. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Thanks for letting us share the process of game development with you, and we'll see you all here next week.
Okay, we'll watch the palette cleanser at the end. So here's been my experience. Okay, hopefully this is it. Okay, here we go. Chat finally got me a link, which is nice. Thank you for this, because they were saying that some of the stuff will still be fixed. This is Yogi. Is there clear definition you can give us regarding gimbals, turrets, and assumed hard fixed weapons? It's pretty much what we have in Master Mode's environment, with the exception that the manned and isolated non-pilot turrets will get later gimbals equipped so that they have the same gimbal modes as pilots. In general, fixed mounts will largely go away, except for very isolated cases like the Ares and Vanguard nose mounts. The Vanguards, however, will keep its size 5 mounts with a size 5 gun, which allows gimbaling. Okay. So unless they can physically, so there's a handful of things that are going to be still fixed, but they've done it in the past where they've given fixed weapons a little bit of movement. So I wouldn't be surprised if it eventually cheated a little bit, but yeah. So This is where I'm going to go a little critical, because there is, I think, expectations to be set, but I also think that, okay, I'm trying to say this in a diplomatic way, because I'm going to start off by saying CIG is going to make the game that CIG wants to make. If it doesn't fulfill what CIG wants, then it doesn't matter. Because game development is not about pleasing the most people ever. It's about getting the feel of the game that you want it to be. CIG wants feedback because obviously they want it within fun range. They would still want a range of fun. But there's going to be some things that they're not going to change. And I think the one problem that comes across right away is that the change in targeting and in like the zoom targeting mode and like how you target stuff and the reliance on gimbals, it feels very much like a switch away from hardcore sim to more arcade. It's not, in my experience, but it looks like that. That zoomed in mode it looks exactly like the zoomed in mode from Skyrim in space, Starfield. And that's not a look. That's not a great look. And I know a lot of people said CIG just copied Starfield when they did that. They didn't, because that was in development in Squadron 42 before Starfield had even released. So I think that's just a bad look, more often than not. I've heard a lot of people kind of talk about this, you know, in terms of the PvP community. I've heard a lot of people say that there's a lot of people who are upset about it, and then there are other people who are more like, they understand it, but at the same time, they're concerned that it doesn't do what CIG wants it to do. So, but yeah, it will lower the skill ceiling. It definitely will. It'll make it easier for more people to combat. And I think a lot of people who are highly skilled players are going to be upset about that. But anyone who does PvP or in combat will tell you there are a couple of rules in PvP. The number one rule is kill the guy that you're shooting at. That is the number one rule. And anything you can do to improve that chance of you killing the guy that you're shooting at before they can kill you, you do. And things like learning how to turn your ship properly or learning how your ship functions is good. And also managing your power. Managing your power has been a thing in Star Citizen for years, and it is vital to, you know, how you do combat. So I think there'll still be nuance to the game. I don't know how much nuance, and there is still so many parts of this which aren't in the game yet, and probably will take, I'm going to be charitable, at least a year. Probably longer, but I'll give CIG the benefit of the doubt for right now and say at least a year before most of the aspects of this system are in place that will give a fair estimate of how things will function. But until then, this is what we're going to get. So, as I've always said, it's best if you're going to leave feedback to be civil and be direct and very specific on what your feedback is, because CIG is not going to care about your ranting and raving about turning Star Citizen into Star Fox or whatever you're mad about. They're just going to go cool, bro, and move on. But if you have actual legitimate feedback on terms of the, you know, beyond just the feel, but also like data points or images or videos, they love those sorts of things. That helps them kind of work through some of the ideas. So overall, I'm still mixed, only because I've played master modes in Arena Commander. So I know how good it feels compared to how it looks. So, but I want to hear your thoughts down below. Do you think this is Star Citizen is now an arcade game? We're throwing sim out the window. It's all about the looks and cinematics, baby. Or do you think there's some more nuance to it? Let me know in the comments below. And of course, we're still sponsored by Factor. Factor is a fantastic meal service that gives you prepackaged meals to your door weekly. They're great. They have different varieties. They rotate them out all the time. And if you use my code, which I'll have in the top comment and in the description below, you can get 50% off of your first order, which is a fantastic deal for those of you trying to get into that action. And like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black.